There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, you've got to go together. And that's why I am so excited today to tell you about the big news from Subscriber. I am bringing on a co-founder, and it is none other than the absolute GOAT, the Michael Jordan of script writing, Brian.
Let's go. Yeah, man, I'm super duper excited to finally announce this deal. Our discussions have been in the works for a couple months now, and yeah, I'm super stoked to finally be on the team.
Yeah, I feel like we sort of decided to do this partnership in the middle of summer when usually nothing's happening, no one's getting any work done. But actually, we've already gotten like a ton of stuff done, and really summer isn't even fully over yet.
Yeah, and this was super interesting because I believe I met you for the first time. Like, we started talking on Twitter back in January of 2024. That's when I started Viral Bangers, which is like my YouTube scriptwriting agency. And that's also when I started my YouTube channel. I was literally at like maybe 500 subscribers back in January last year because I just started the channel. And you also started Subscriber at the exact same time. And we've just been like chatting back and forth. We hopped on a couple calls. And really the first time that we met was in Vid Summit. I think that was October or September, like 2024. And I kind of like floated the idea of some kind of partnership, and nothing really came into fruition. And, now I think we started talks in like May or June, and yeah, here we are. Like, I think we got like a bunch of stuff done, and like I think the product's going to a place where it's going to be super duper interesting and is a much improvement from like all the other tools out there. So I've decided that, hey, like, I really like you. I want to put my name behind this, and I'm just super stoked. I'm super stoked.
One of the things that I have really liked the most about this partnership is that probably no one knows that you were actually one of my first customers. I believe you bought in during the pre-sale in the very earliest stages of this thing. And so, I don't think I ever said thank you for the support for helping to get this thing off the ground, but thank you.
Yeah. That was, I think maybe you launched this in like March or April. And yep. Yeah, I bought the pre-sale because I was like, damn, this is like perfect. I was just starting my YouTube scriptwriting agency. So we like brought on a bunch of clients by March, April time. And I was looking for a way to systematize the entire process, because by then we were managing like 7 to 10 clients, something like that. And it started becoming a lot, right? We were writing like 30 scripts every single month. And like back then there was just no good way in order to write YouTube scripts. If you know, March 2024, ChatGPT was terrible. Claude was still terrible, right? The outputs, were still limited to like 2,000, maybe 3,000 words for Claude. Right now, Claude is like way, way better and, can output much longer. ChatGPT is still very limited in that. But back then, like, there weren't really good options to, upload a bunch of like project data to write a script. But so like that's also one of the reasons I was super excited for Subscriber. I was like, when it's Gil launching, I was like on the wait list, and I was one of the first customers. And yeah, now I'm a partner in it, which I think is super cool because it's very aligned with my brand, and it's very aligned with my audience, and it's also very aligned with the kind of impact that I want to have with my YouTube channel, with my following, and really show that, like, actually YouTube can be easy, right? You don't have to spend 4, 6, sometimes 15, 20 hours on a script that I did when I first started. You can actually press a couple buttons, get something that's like pretty good, refine it, record it, and get like 100,000 views if you did it the exact right way.
Yeah, and that actually, reminds me of like how I got started with this whole thing, is because I was actually spending way too much time on scripts. I just to take a step back, I had just sold my last company. It was VC backed. It was, I had 20 something employees, and it was a pretty, my day was nothing but meetings and managing people. And suddenly the problems of the business were actually just, people problems. And after selling that company, I was looking for something that was more personal and more calm, that I didn't have to worry about just being in meetings all day, managing investors and that sort of stuff. And I found myself watching a lot of YouTube videos and I discovered, the whole faceless concept and realized, hey, this could actually be really fun and a good way to make money. I didn't realize until that point that YouTube gives you more than half of the ad revenue, to your channel when ads are shown. And I didn't realize that people were making tons of money just from that. I started to try and put a team together and hiring contractors and things like that. And then I quickly realized, wait, not only is this like bringing back the nightmare scenario that I was in before of like managing this team, but on top of that, the quality of what I was getting was just terrible. And so, I am not a professional writer, but I do have a background in creative writing. I took courses in school, and so I found myself like revising and editing, and like you said, I was actually spending like 8 hours on a single script. And I was like, how is this? How do people do this? How do they scale it? And that was around the time that ChatGPT was just starting to become popular. And like you said, it just wasn't good enough to write a script. And I said, you know what? I bet if I put everything I have into this as like, a long time software developer, I've been writing code for 25 years. I guess I can actually put the nail in that coffin and say, I'm not writing any code anymore. The AI is. But I wrote code for 25 years, and I just, I said, okay, if I put all of that, skill and passion into this, can I actually create a tool using these AI models that would write a good script? And that was the sort of origin of Subscriber. But here's the thing, I didn't have a huge YouTube background to base this on. So I had to consume every resource I could find about script writing, about YouTube. I bought every single course. Most of them were not worth it, but I did learn a lot during that time. And that was, of course, how I found you, because you were just getting out there as an authority in script writing. And I thought, well, I better pay attention to this guy.
That's like, I want to backtrack a little bit. So like the story, the origin of it is that you tried running your own channels. You spend a bunch of time trying to run your own channels, and you realize, oh, you didn't want to manage a bunch of people. And then, so you decided to like lean into like what you were actually good at and code a script bot. So it's like kind of like Subscriber is born out of like a problem that you found by like doing it in the process yourself, and you decided to go down the code route. And then me, being the absolute genius that I am, decided to just spend a bunch more hours writing every single script to make sure that it's entirely good. So it's like I like how you lean into like your strengths in terms of, oh, I'm just gonna like code it, and then I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna like market it and like figure out how to write a bunch more scripts and like bring a bunch more people in, which has its pros and cons to it. I think like humans still do need to have some kind of input to like an AI bot. Like very rarely, and I think like almost never, can you like one prompt like a full script. Like you can like one prompt a full script, like you can do it with Claude now, but like the output is going to be like 80% of the way there. I don't know if you agree, but the output might be 80% of the way there, right? There's like models that are like pretty good at writing, but like 80% of the way there isn't like 100% of the way there, right? It's usually like the last 20% that needs the refinement. And it's only when you refine the last 20%, okay, is the script like going to be like an A-star script? And that's something that has the potential to get like 1 million views. Other than that, if you just, one prompt it, usually will be like, the feeling is always like it's almost good enough, but it's not good enough, right? Which is really like the big problem with like scripting with AI. And I don't know, I think it's really cool that you decided that, okay, like the last 20% problem, you decided, okay, I'm gonna like automate all of it with like whatever knowledge that you have.
Yeah, and a key part of Subscriber, of my belief system from the very beginning, was exactly what you said, that if there's no human input, then you're not going to get a good result. You're going to get AI slop. And I didn't actually want to put a tool out in the world that would do that. And so the way that I thought about building the first version of Subscriber was, I thought about what I would do as a writer, and I also looked at what the script writers in my network that I had met through joining the YouTube community, what they were doing, and I sort of tried to build a tool that would replicate that. So you go on this journey where you're thinking about your packaging. How do you title your video? What kind of thumbnail should you have? Because ultimately, if you're creating a script, it needs to match up to that packaging. So ideally, you're doing that first, and then you are, thinking through, well, what are those first few seconds that confirm the click? How do I get people hooked in? And you kind of want to do all of that or have an idea of that before you even start scripting. So that is why in the first version of Subscriber, I really tried to mimic that human process, but then just give you like choices and tools along the way that you could use to guide the AI in a way that made sense. And I think that was a pretty good bet in the beginning. And just thinking like, okay, as a human, but just with some tools that are going to make this faster.
Yeah, I really did think like Subscriber, kind of like in the V1, was really good like during its time, and this is something that we talked about like extensively before, right? In that like if any of you have like used Subscriber, or if you're like a Subscriber user, like the previous interface was like it will like handhold you through like step by step, where it would figure out the idea, the title, the hook, the thumbnail, and then flesh out like a first draft, and then it will even like help you edit it. That's like the V1 version, which I thought was like really good for its time. It's just that like right now, like the models have like improved so much that like like 6 months ago you couldn't like hit one button and like get a full script of like Claude that was like decent, right? So it's kind of like right now like Subscriber is competing versus that. And right now, okay, it should be the case where you can like press a couple buttons and you can get something that's 95, 99% there, right? Which you 100% can do with the proper prompts. That's something that I've been able to like put together with like all of these like different AI models. But it was always like for me, there was so many people like reaching out to me, asking me when I would like put out my own like AI YouTube script writing bot, because I have so much education out there on YouTube script writing, right? I think like 2 months ago I put out a 4-hour course. A year ago I put out like an hour 30-minute course, and on the back end what I use to like train my script writers, like tens of 20 hours worth of like just reviews, like looking at scripts and like dissecting it line by line, and just like education, a lot more like higher level stuff, how to write VSLs, how to create presentations that convert, and right, those like consisted like my own videos. And there was like a lot of questions on, okay, like when will I like turn my content into like an AI script writing bot? And there were a bunch of people already like putting together stuff based on my content, and I was like, I don't really have a coding background, so what do I do? And and it kind of just came like at a perfect time where you were like, hey, like I want to improve like the product. You need some help, and you also like want to bring on someone as like a second eye. So I don't know. I think it just came at a like randomly totally perfect time in the middle of summer when I was in Europe vacationing, and then like we kind of like started talks there.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to just improve the product. Like I was ready to just start over and build something that's like modern for what's going to work in 2026. And it's just crazy how fast AI has improved, but also at how quickly people have sort of jumped on this and become more comfortable with prompting, become more comfortable with using chatbots. When I started Subscriber, that really wasn't the case. And it was clear that a tool that you can chat with more and go back and forth with is something that was really needed, and that less of a like structured step-by-step approach which is what worked before. So the combination of the models getting better, plus the way that people have become comfortable with using these AI models and especially AI chat meant that I really wanted to reinvent the product. And while I could have done that alone, I think having the opportunity to work with the Michael Jordan of script writing to actually do that was probably a good idea, to be honest. And that's when you and I were talking, I think on Discord or something, and I think you said, yeah, I'm looking to sort of jump into something new. And I was like, dude, why don't we just team up and work on this thing together? And we're both like, I don't know if this is gonna work, but let's talk it out. And I remember I was on vacation at the beach, and I just remember like being on a call or multiple calls, and I was just like always pacing back and forth on on the balcony on our condo at the
Yeah.
beach all weekend. My wife was like, "Come on, like,
Wow.
we're supposed to be on vacation here," and no, we just kept talking, and surprisingly, it just made sense, and like really quickly, we went from like, is this is this something that we should do to like, oh man, here's all the awesome things we can do together.
Yeah, I think like regardless of whether you'd come to me, I was gonna like do something like like AI script related, just because like that's kind of like where the trend is going. But I also like have no dev experience. Like I'm just terrible at code. Like when I was 15, I did a like engineering project with one of my schoolmates, and it was like to build like an autonomous robot, and it was using like an Arduino, and like you coded in C, and I absolutely wrote zero code. It was like 1,000 lines of code. I wrote zero code. My friend wrote all of the code, and I was just like sticking wires together. So I was like, there's just no shot that I'm gonna develop something or be able to manage someone who can develop something at like a reasonable cost, because like devs are like crazy expensive nowadays, and like they just charge you for whatever. If you don't have like knowledge, like they'll charge you like 5 grand for like an N8N template, and you won't even know like what's happening, right? So like I was gonna do something, but I also like didn't have like the technical expertise to like execute something. And I don't know, like this is like really like just perfect. It really was just perfect timing, because yeah, I was kind of like just trying to like figure out where I wanted to take the direction of my channel, do something like a little bit more long term, more like impact focused. And yeah, like, and you come in with like the technical expertise, like your background, which I don't think you give yourself enough credit for, that you don't talk about enough, is like, oh, like you've worked in these like VC backed companies, you've like founded some of these companies, and you've grown them to like multi-millions in valuation, and now you're just starting your own thing. That's like your background in terms of like tech and like growing companies, you don't really talk about enough, and you're actually like super technical. And
Can I share one story from that?
yeah, tell me.
It's just on the top of my mind. So it's the end of August 2025, and it was exactly 20 years ago when, where I live in New Orleans, there was a big hurricane called Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
And I lived in the middle of the city at the time, and fortunately, when that hurricane hit, I was actually in Rio. I was in Brazil on vacation, and I was supposed to fly back the day this hurricane hit, and I actually couldn't because because it was coming in, and so they canceled my flight, and I stayed there for a few more weeks just watching on TV as like,
Damn.
my entire life was just like underwater, and you couldn't contact anyone. It was crazy. And that was actually my opportunity to like, stay in Rio and just be a beach bum the rest of my life. But I was so ready to get back to something, but I didn't have anything. I didn't know what. And I was like 21, and I was looking for something bigger and better. So I came back. I wasn't able to come back to New Orleans because my whole house was flooded and underwater, and it was just a mess. So I was staying with some friends in another place, And then this is like, you know, such crazy good luck. I stumbled on Seth Godin's blog. If you don't know Seth Godin, he's like a big marketing author and blogger. Um, I think his, if you just type Seth in Google, he's like the number one result. But he had a post on his blog saying, I'll pay $5,000 to the person who refers me to the person that I hire as like the CTO of my new startup. And I was like, man, my thought wasn't this could be me. My thought was I could really use 5 grand right now because I got no work, I have nothing, and maybe I know somebody. And I looked at it and I was like, I could do this. And I wrote to Seth, and it was a Sunday night, and I woke up on Monday morning and I had an email back from him saying, "Here's my cell phone number, call me." And this guy is like, I mean, he has like a dozen best-selling books. I mean, he's constantly giving speeches. Like he's an amazing, inspiring person, and he's just like, "Here's my cell phone number, call me." And I was like, "Whoa, this is crazy." And so I called him. Long story short, within less than a week, I was in New York, working side by side with him to start
Crazy.
this new startup that he was working on. And he took a chance on me. The team took a chance on me because I was like this young kid. I think they could see that I was very motivated, but it's not like I came from Google or Facebook, or actually Facebook didn't exist back then, but it wasn't like I came from some big credentialed place. And and it was always for me like having to figure out what is the next thing I need to learn in order to grow into this role. And we grew that to be a $10 million a year business where we actually gave millions of dollars to charity in the process and paid even more millions to our users, because just like YouTube, which started around the same time as we did, we were also paying like 50% of our revenue back to our users, and they could choose to either get paid cash or donate to charity. And we had this massive scale of this thing, but it was also very lean. Like I think at the end, at our peak, I should say, I had like 2 other engineers and me, and we had millions of people a day visiting our stuff. And this was way before, like Google Cloud and AWS and stuff was just coming online. And so it was crazy, but it's on the top of my mind because that was 20 years ago. And the big lesson that I had from that is like, sometimes you have to like pull back in order to accelerate faster. I think of it like a slingshot. Like you can't propel forward unless you pull the slingshot back. And that's what I kind of feel like we're doing now with Subscriber, where there hasn't been a lot of updates in the last few months, but there's been a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes, especially the stuff that we're doing together. And I mean, I think we're just gonna not only be successful with it, but we're also going to help so many people to achieve their own dreams on YouTube, which is actually, the sort of mission here.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm super duper excited about this because like very much where like in our like own lanes. I think like when you came to me, you were like, "Oh, I just don't have time to like tweet all day. Like I don't have time to like make YouTube videos. I don't have time to make like educational stuff, especially when you're trying to improve the product. Like if you're trying to improve a product, like product isn't easy. Like especially you like one man all day coding and then replying to customers. Like you are like very very like one-to-one with customers. You're like you send very long emails back to customers as like replies, which is like I think like something like most founders don't do. So like and like customer support plus like building product, like that's like a full-time job. And then you were also doing like marketing, you were doing like SEO, you were doing like Google ads and whatnot. You were doing like all of that on top, like, and I was like, how are you even doing this? So like, I'm super duper excited about this because like we get to stay in our like own zone of genius, like what we're really good at. I'm really good at making a ton of videos. I'm literally in the studio right now. I'm going to record a video after this. I'm really good at scripting, good at writing tweets, emails. So like, I'm just going to do all of that, like what I'm really good at. And like that, like frees up a bunch of time for you to just work on product. And like, we probably started this partnership, like, let's say like 2 months ago. And I feel like we've been moving like hella fast. Like we're about to ship something that, I don't know, like that I played with that I'm personally super duper excited about. And it's something that when like I think like when we first talked, I literally had a sketch for what it would look like. Do you remember that? I didn't like TLDR draw. I like sketched it out. I was like, hey, the sidebar should look like this. The main bar should look like this. And you should be able to type it and this should be the output. And I should be able to highlight the text and I should be able to edit it. And less than 2 months later, like definitely less than 2 months, we probably started talking like maybe early June. We already have something that's like, I think like pretty good, that I am like proud to like share with my audience, that I'm proud to like share with you guys. And that, okay, like I actually want to go to a bunch of people and like, hey, try this out. Like when you showed it to me at first, I think you showed it to me like a couple of days ago. I wrote a script with like the new interface and new bot that you came up with. I prompted it a couple times, right? I got a script. I think I got a script in like 10 to 15 minutes, and I put it into Google Doc. I added some notes like, oh, this is the title. This is the note to the editor. I sent it to my editor, sent it to my thumbnail designer, sent it to my couple editing friends. I was like, hey, what do you think about this script? And they're like, yeah, I could see you recording it. Like, yeah, go record it tomorrow. And I was like, oh,
did you tell them where it came from?
No, I literally told them like, hey, I decorated it so that it looked like I was going to record it tomorrow. And then I wrote it on my own. And then I sent it to a bunch of friends and they were like, yeah, you can go and record it tomorrow. Like, it looks good to me. I don't really have any comments. And I was like, oh, by the way, it's written by subscriber in 15 minutes. Like, I'll like, you can try it out when we release it. And my friends were like, oh, interesting. That's what I said. Just interesting. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. When you sent me that message and you were like, hey, yeah, I think this is going to work. Like I made this script in about 15 minutes, and I opened the Google Doc and I saw there was editor's notes at the top, like how to film it and stuff. And my first thought was, oh my God, like, wait, this was just supposed to be a test. I think I even gave you like the subject of, or like an idea for a video you could create, and you literally just wrote the script. And then I was like, wait, he's going to record this? He's going to record this? Yeah. And I couldn't believe it. So, I mean, that makes me super excited. At the same time though, this isn't easy because like there's different types of scripts, you know, there's a lot of people who use the software, and some people are like AI experts, and other people are kind of new to that. So that was actually one of the big tension points that really, you know, prompted me to like want to work with you, is that with, you know, managing customer service, building the product, I wasn't putting enough educational content out there. And, you know, it's easy to just say, hey, just turn on the camera and record and just put something out, you know, share your screen and just talk. And that is true. Like, you know, there's no excuses in that sense. But also, it's just like different parts of your brain sometimes. And it's really hard to go from just like being deep in code and also just like, you know, the interruptive sort of pattern that customer service is, to then be able to be ready to record something. And I knew that customers were asking like, we need more, like, we need you to show us how this works. And I knew that you were the type of person who could just turn on the camera and record. And already you've been like super busy in the studio, right?
Yeah. I'm super lucky because I'm in Colombia right now, and the studio is like $20 an hour. So don't come to Colombia so that you don't increase the prices here. And like this is like really sick. I like spend like 4 or 5 hours in here every single week, like literally the routine is like I would script a bunch of stuff. I would plan a bunch of stuff to come into the studio to record, and just so I happen to have a studio right now, so that's why I'm recording the pod in it. So yeah, like just been creating a bunch of education, right? We have a bunch more education coming up. Like one of the things that you don't realize with kind of like running subscriber is that there's just a lot more education that needs to be created than you'd expect. Like there's just like a ton more assets that you have to create for the customer to be successful. Because right now subscriber is ideation and it's writing the script. Right? If you want to win on YouTube, what do you need? You need to have thumbnails. You need to have killer thumbnails. You need to have really great edits, right? You need to know how to upload the video well. You need to know how to record a video, right? And you need to know how to like funnel customers if you're doing educational stuff. You need to know how to come up with like how to like analyze the market and come up with even more video ideas, more so than just using a chat bot, right? Right, there's the chat bot, and there were a bunch of people requesting for education on how to use it. So we had so many prompts, so many different buttons to press, and like it's like, okay, like well, what do you do with that, right? And like there's just a lot more education around what it takes to win on YouTube that needs to be created. And like when I say a lot more, I don't mean like 2 to 5 videos. I'm talking about like 40 videos per like topic. So like thumbnails alone, you could talk about for like 20 different modules, right? On titles, maybe that's like a couple modules. On writing the script, editing the script, right? How to use the subscriber bot, that's a bunch of modules. So like there's just a lot of education and like a lot of assets that, you know, get to be created over like the next couple months that will make it a lot easier for like number one, the customer to succeed, and then they can stay on subscriber longer and get better results with subscriber. And then that's just like looking at the back end, right? And then if the goal here is to bring this product to like thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, right? There needs to be like a good marketing infrastructure, which is like a totally different conversation on its own, right? Running a YouTube channel, it's difficult, and I'm sure it's something you hadn't done before because you need to hire editors, you need to hire thumbnail designers, right? You need to write the scripts, and then you need to manage them, right? And doing that on top of like improving product is impossible for like one person to do. But I think I'm a big believer in like 1 + 1 = 100. 1 + 1 doesn't equals like 2. 1 + 1 = 100, and because there's like just these like mass magnitude effects when you like partner with someone if it's like a proper fit, right? There's also like 1 + 1 = 0, where like everything just implodes. But if you have like the right fit in terms of like, oh, like who's going to focus on what, and there's like, you know, aligned vision in terms of, okay, like directionally we know that we want to get here, then I think it's like super effortless and super easy. I don't know, like so far I've been like enjoying it quite a lot. I just like do what I want, and like we put out like good education, and like and the product's improving. Like I think it's all trending towards the right direction, and I don't know, like so far it's been super enjoyable for me.
Yeah, I think this next release of the software is going to be just such a huge improvement for people to write their scripts. It's going to be in a lot of ways faster, but I think it's like the scripts that I've seen coming from it are actually looking better as well. So I'm super excited about that because, like, you know, the point of this tool is to help you save time, but not only that, but to like actually get a good video that's going to succeed on YouTube. And I really feel like, you know, this is a big opportunity to, you know, put out even better, for people to be able to put out even better content, and to do it in a way that's just more natural and faster. And, you know, I'm excited about just getting it out there, like, as fast as possible, but without, you know, totally breaking everything. So, so I think we're getting pretty close though.
Yeah, like I don't like the best part about this new version is that it's super customizable, right? Like one of the things that we talked about was the templates, right? So like prompt templates, right? We'll give you a bunch of prompt templates, and then you can also customize the prompt template according to like how you want the script to come out, right? And especially if you're very high level in YouTube, there's a bunch of very specific things that you won't really think about when you are just writing a script as a complete beginner, right? Things like if you're writing for multiple niches, one of the things we talked about was, oh, the hook length, right? Okay, the hook length in this niche has to be 15 seconds long versus 30 seconds long, right? If you're able to customize it and you're able to prompt it, which you weren't able to do in the previous subscriber version because, all of the prompts were on the back end. Right now, you have the ability to customize it so that you have all of these specifics that you can amend, right? And like, okay, if the hook, I need it to be this long. Okay, the call to action, I 100% want to write it with Brian's framework, right? Hook, gap, action, right? You hook the viewer in, you create a curiosity gap, and you get them to click on another video, right? If you are very, very certain, okay, I know what the end product looks like, then you can customize it within Subscriber. And what's great is that Subscriber also has like a bunch of base templates for, hey, like a script should look like this. And it's literally taking like the workflow that I have when I'm writing my own scripts and the workflow that I have like working with my writers in terms of, how do you go from idea to like an outline to like a full draft to editing the script like line by line, right? And another great feature is that you can highlight it and then you can just prompt it and then it'll immediately improve it, right? So it's like editing it line by line and being very specific about the phrasing and like how you actually want it. Yeah, I don't know, like it literally takes my entire process and like my entire brain and like puts it into a product. And we're going to have even more templates, right? Like right now we have like a base template and we have something for education, right? For the real estate folks, we're going to have a template for you. For a bunch of the documentary folks, we're going to have templates for you. Compilation videos, we're going to have templates for you. And eventually, right, you're going to be able to publish your own templates. And so if you're a creator and you have an audience that, hey, your audience is asking for your template on how to write scripts, you can create your own template and then you can publish that template. And then when people sign up to Subscriber, your audience signs up to Subscriber, they can use that very template to write a script. Like right now it's trained on a lot of my stuff. It's trained on a lot of documentary stuff. But eventually, right, the customer base will become so big and everyone will be contributing to these templates that you'll be able to write any script with Subscriber, right? One of the things that has performed really well on my channel is also like doing Google Slides or Gamma Slides. Eventually, we'll be able to, use Subscriber to create, hey, what should it look like on every single slide? Which I don't think any like GPT or like Claude has been able to like understand the specifics of what works on like a YouTube video slide deck. Right. And eventually we'll be able to trade it on all of that. And yeah, as you said, I think just being able to write scripts for YouTube channels like all over the spectrum, like YouTube is such a big marketplace. But I think like kind of this approach makes it customizable, makes it so that, one person can distribute the template to 50 people and that 50 people can distribute the templates to 250 people. And yeah, like I think there's just like great impact there. Yeah.
I thought the script marketplace was going to be a secret, but you just spilled it. I'm really excited about that because I think, people spend time customizing their prompts and like, we can't like, even though we spend a ton of time on this stuff, we can't possibly think of every type of script and, people, the collective wisdom of people, I think is going to bring some really cool stuff when they can be shared. And not only shared, but like you're going to be able to see how often they're used. So you can see which ones, people actually like, which I think is cool. And I think like in this next version, there's really like two powerful things which really make this tool awesome. One of those tools is what you just said, script templates, where, if like one feature request has been, oh, I want to be able to like customize the CTAs in my videos. Well, okay, if you want to do that, just copy the script template and just make some quick changes to say, here's how I want my CTA to be. And that's the solution. There are so many other features that are on the wish list, on the roadmap that people have asked for, that the solution is just like, hey, you can tweak the script template and make it do whatever you want it to do. And then the other thing is like, The other solution is, how do I get it to, add open loops, or how do I get it to do XYZ? And the answer is like literally just type that into the chat and it's going to do it. So instead of me having to build buttons and features for each thing, we're going to rely on how smart these models are to just be able to make those changes to the script in real time. And the beauty of what we've built, as opposed to like some of these other chat tools, is like there's like a live living copy of the script, and when you're chatting it's going to make changes to that copy. You're going to have like versioning, so you can see the changes that are made and like choose to apply them. And if you want to go back to a previous version, you can just go back, and it's going to feel like such a really professional app, like a Google Docs or something like that, but with all the tools of having live YouTube data and the prompting to know how to write great scripts, and just all the little extras that make this like a really good tool for YouTubers.
Yeah, and one of the things that we talked about was kind of like having a memory. Like GPT has like a memory, right? Where if you tell it a bunch of stuff and you can literally like do voice notes to it, so it understands your entire life. Like we want to have like the script writing bot have that functionality. Whereas when you give it feedback, oh, make it more humorous, make this shorter. I don't like XYZ parts of the script, and the script bot will have memory. So that way it's like the channels and like the voice is like self-training based on the feedback that you give it. Because right now we're going to integrate like a feedback mechanism for you to like tell it exactly what you like and what you don't like. So just over time, the more you use the script bot to write a script, the more personalized it will be, the more it will sound like you. And yeah, it's the exact process, same process with like if you're learning scripts, right? If you're learning scripts, you're gonna have someone give you feedback, and then you're gonna remember that feedback so that you apply it for future scripts. It's the exact same thing. If you're teaching a script writer and you give him feedback like, oh, I like this part of the script, I don't like this part of the script, then they'll immediately know what should be changed in the future, right? The thing is, when you work with humans and you ask humans to write a script, they forget, right? They forget, oh, he doesn't like to use this word. He doesn't like to use super long sentences. He doesn't like to use language above eight level reading grade. But in the case of an AI, if it's self-training and it trains itself on the feedback that you give it, the outputs will be a lot better. So like your first script will look very drastically different from your fourth script, and like your fourth script will just be way better. It'll sound way more like you. And yeah, I don't like that's something I'm super duper stoked for. Like when we ship that, I think that will absolutely like it will be a no brainer to use Subscriber to like write YouTube scripts, right? And yeah, like everyone will just be using it.
Yeah, the memory feature is one I'm really excited about. I haven't built it yet, but I've already made the plan of exactly how it's going to go. And it's kind of like the same thing as a script template, in the sense of it's like this is the set of core instructions that you're giving the AI when you ask it to do something. But the difference is you don't have to go like clone a script template and make those changes yourself. You're just going to use the app. And based on how you use it, it's going to learn sometimes like, hey, there are certain things that you keep saying, and those seem like the types of preferences you might just want to remember. And so it's just going to do all that for you. And it's just going to feel very natural as you're using it. So, I mean, I'm really excited for that too.
Yeah. And like we're going to be putting out a lot more education, right? That's one of the main reasons that I've been brought on. I've already filmed a bunch. We were just kind of waiting to drop this video so that I could put my face on the Subscriber channel. There'll be a lot more education coming out on my channel. I've came back from a 1.5 year hiatus of traveling the world and nomading. So I'm done with that for a little bit. So I'm like situated in one spot. Like I've got like a nice studio. Yeah, like I've got friends in like an area for once. So yeah, I'm like locked in, and we're gonna come with like a lot of education, like how to use subscriber, how to like grow on YouTube. Literally anything surrounding YouTube is something I'm dedicating a lot of my time towards creating. And one of the things that I've actually been doing on the back end, we've actually been doing on the back end, is we've been doing like one-to-one onboarding calls, which is pretty unthinkable given the scale that subscribers at. But I've spent, like every Monday and Thursday just packed filled of calls from like 9 a.m. to like 7 p.m. Just talking to customers one-on-one, because I really wanted to get a feel for where there was missing education, what the specific pain points are, and how we can bring more specific value to the customers. And I've been taking these onboarding calls. I haven't like delegated it. Like literally every single customer who books an onboarding call with me is talking directly to me. And yeah, like I've done this for like maybe the past month and a half, and yeah, I'm pretty excited to take like those exact insights and turn them into content, and something that, because you guys specifically asked for it, and I know multiple people ask for it. If one person asks for it, something that you guys will consume and you guys can look forward to more of.
I think that's going to be so cool, just having content out there, because there is a lot of YouTube content, but a lot of it is either not focused or it's hype to try and sell something else. But really all we're selling is like giving people, freedom to be able to do YouTube and have the time to do it and not be, so overwhelmed by the process. And so having a tool that gives you like a structure plus a good output, for your ideation scripting, and then having just some very clearly organized education along the way to like walk you through what the next step is just going to be super helpful. And I think gets us a lot closer on our mission.
Yeah. Is that the pod?
That's the pod.
That's the pod. Yeah. Well, I hope you guys enjoy this. Like, if you guys like these pods, like we're going to do more of them. We're going to put out a bunch more content. If you like to listen to us yap, product updates once a week, stuff like that, we're happy to do more of it. So leave a comment if you think this is actually good. And back to work, back to building the product.
Awesome. Brian, it's so great to have you on board, man. Looking forward to crushing it together.
Thank you for having me.